for Flabonga Monthrothacube. With Dale and Tony breaking all the rules. Talking tech, biz, and straight up chaos. Quick fire guests, oh yeah, we slay those.
Good afternoon, my name is Dale Rodriguez and this is a Flabonga Monthrothacube. With me today I've got my awesome co-host,
Tony Stevenson.
and we've got our epic guest,
Kirsty St John.
awesome, Kirsty. Thank you for being with us today.
No problem. Looking forward to it. That was really funky music made by one of your guests.
It was. I need to ask you the obvious questions for people who might not know you, because Tony and I know you, but so we know your name. What is Kirsty's counting services? What are you counting? Sheep, goats, money? Or what are we counting here?
Money.
Cash,
And any and all bits of money. Yes, indeed. So yeah, I run a Kirsty's Counting Services in a little tiny place called March in Cambridgeshire. There's a big prison. Most people know it because there's a prison. Bookkeeping services, VAT, payroll. You name it, I'll count it.
Cool. When it comes to bookkeeping, there are many disciplines. Which is your favourite one to do?
Just the pure core bookkeeping with a nice big bank reconciliation at the end of it, with a nice big green tick, and it all matches nice and neat. Honestly, job satisfaction, perfection.
And
Which one's your least favourite?
If there was 2 pence that was miscast, or
Well, you got to go look for it.
overs,
Oh
like-
God, you got to go looking for it.
What is your de minimis for looking for an error?
Well, actually, 2p's probably below the limit, but it is still frustrating when it doesn't. But when, as you're approaching the end of like a bank rec or a VAT return or whatever it might be, and you can kind of mentally calculate, oh, there's a 58 and a 62. The numbers are going to work. You can tell you're getting there, and it's like, yeah, you give yourself a little dance, little pat on the back. I work from home alone, and there's no one here to appreciate it, so you have to appreciate yourself.
I need to go back a step. Tony, you used a very long and educated word there. You said de minimis. Is that basically
Yes.
money doesn't matter to an accountant or bookkeeper because they say so?
Yeah,
Is that what it means?
materiality concept.
Yeah. And the idea is, I'm right in saying there's got to be like a certain threshold based on your risk level, right? You go, okay, 2p is not worth chasing, but $2,000 definitely worth chasing. But I'm right in saying, if you work for a multi-billion-dollar company, $2,000, you might go, it's de minimis, right?
It's immaterial.
Relative to how big and whatever you are.
Thank you.
Talking
Just
about
explain this to
rounding, that
people.
is
Some things are material by nature, though, right? So, as a slight segue to interrupt you, sorry, Kirsty. When I was training, we were always taught that cash or checks or anything like money was de minimis by nature, right? So it was material by nature, sorry, so that you had to deal with it as if it was a lot of money, even if it was a small amount of money. And we had this check come in, it was like 95p. I was like, it's a check. Got to deal with this. This is this is material by nature. So I was like, I don't really know what we do with checks because we don't get many of them. So I went round to the partner and was like, what do we do with this check? And he was like, I can tell what you do. You can fuck off. Laughed me out the building. And I was like, but it's material by nature. So I just send it to them in the post. Like,
Tony, are you an Apple user? Are you using an Apple?
Yes.
Hence why when you did the thumbs up, it did the right?
Yes, yeah. No.
Oh, that's clever.
And it also does other things as well. Sorry, because you can do you can make hearts. You can do lots
carry
of.
on chatting. I'll do this.
Just do that.
That's cool.
James Sundin in the comments. James Sundin. The only people I want to hear about a budget update from. Stay blessed, fam.
You won't get much budget goss from me.
Well, I was going to say, anyone in our industry is not listening to us right now. They're probably going to tune into Question Time and in half an hour.
The question is, do you go BBC? Do you go ITV? Do you go Sky? Where do you go for your source of truth?
That's a really good question. Do you want me to answer that?
Yeah.
Okay, so I know the BBC.
Before you answer this, I'm just going to preface this by predicting that Dale has some really niche, dark web news source that no one's heard of, that you need an onion browser to go and get.
Get out of my head. You're right, I do use the dark web. So, as much as the BBC has been in hot water recently, what they did to Donald Trump, the one thing I'll give them credit for is because they're an organisation with people, whether they have a bias or not, they do have people who are accountable. So when they say stuff, it's genuinely true. They might have a slant, but someone's going to
Yeah.
be sued for libel, someone's going to lose their job. So as much as people dislike the BBC for certain things and what way it leans, you can always trust them to be a relatively credible source. So I will go to the BBC because, again, someone's going to get blamed if they lie. So there's that. I do some kind of aggregate thing. I'm not going to lie. I will look at what Fox News says. I'll look at what CNN says. I'll even look at Al Jazeera if I can find it, and then see what they're all saying to get kind of like a wider view. So when I watch the budget, initially the BBC first. I'll tap into ITV, see what they say. And you're right, Tony. There is some kind of dark web sources that I go to. I'm not naming them.
You, Tony? Are you going BBC, ITV, Sky?
So I am someone that actively opts out of watching the news at any opportunity that I possibly can.
Me too.
Unless it's sport based, right? But that's different. So I will consciously avoid the news because I just don't like it. It's just not good for my mental health, and also because exactly like you said, Dale, everything is censored. Everything is presented in a certain way to appease some greater power that is sitting there in the background, whether that's what's left out, whether that's what's left in, whether that's the angle. And I don't like that to be like I like to approach it with that in mind, so that I sort of take everything with as much of a pinch of salt as possible. But it's the BBC I'll go to as my primary source, because I'm just lazy and that's what I've always done. So.
Which one does Robert Peston work for? Because again, I don't watch it normally, so I wouldn't know.
Don't know.
I don't know, but
would count him as a voice of truth. So.
He's so negative, though, isn't it? Well, that's not going to happen, and I can't see this happening. Yeah,
it's a bit like Charlie on Clarkson's Farm, voice of doom.
You know, Kirsty, I just realised you're one of the very few guests. You're one of the very few guests who've gotten Tony and I to speak about politics. Fair played.
Yes, you have. I think we sort of did it ourselves, didn't we?
We very rarely talk about politics.
No, we don't, no.
Yeah, well, I wasn't. You know, I'm not asking or judging. I'm just curious. But you know, maybe it's how you brought up. But my parents were always BBC News. You know, so that's probably where I'll turn it on, or live Parliament, or wherever. I'm going to watch Amy and Aaron and Susanna. They're doing a live watch along. So
are they?
Yeah, they're on it after us. So obviously, okay. I wouldn't abandon this. This is pre-arranged. I'm looking forward to this.
We could abandon
the answers.
We ought to go out to all of our kind of fellow accounting technology podcaster folks, and basically come together to bring together a kind of weekly calendar of when things going, because there's quite a few live streams of people that do stuff live, right?
Monday morning is fixed point in my calendar. 8:30.
Right?
That's the accountant.
Exactly. We took the hump of the week, and somebody should be bringing it home to close on a Friday afternoon with something. I was going to say lighthearted and jovial, but we've kind of all taken that one as well. So,
so you say that. So you know the term hump day.
Yes.
Meaning that Wednesday is the hump of the day.
Yeah.
The first time I heard that, I thought someone was talking about their bedroom activities with their wife. It's like, Dale, Wednesday's hump day, isn't it? I was like, what you and Mrs. and Mrs. Smith get up to on Wednesdays is between you, buddy. And he was like, no, Dale. I was like, what do you mean? I genuinely took it that literally. I was like, it's your hump day. Don't tell me this. I've met your wife. She's lovely. I don't want to hear about your sexual activities.
I so believe that's true.
To be on, she was on one of the whole thing called Lottie, and she does a hump day meals, and it's like a nice one on Instagram, nice little cook along type thing. She's cool. Hump day meals.
Sorry, just going to give a quick shout out to comments. So we would have James Sundin, we've got Elizabeth Carter, ICB.
Yes,
big
new
up the ICB massive.
She is.
She got an award last week. Is last week? It was last week.
Last week, yeah.
Also,
last
we've
Monday,
got LJM Bookkeeping 215. That's Lara Manton. I'm also avoiding the sports news as well as an England cricket fan. Sorry, Lara. Here's what it is.
I don't know anything. But poor old Lara and I were good friends, but she talks all about sport and I know nothing. But she's my good TV buddy. We swap TV tips.
Okay.
A similar crime, drama, murder, chuck it at us. We love it.
Can I ask you a very nebulous and vague question?
I love the vague questions. Go.
The rise of the bookkeeper. How come?
Because we're needed and we're important and we're looking for those 2p's or 5p's or 2 millions or whatever it might be. But without knowing your numbers, you can't make your decisions. And things like the budget, people are going to go, well, is that good for me or is that bad? And we're in the position to be able to explain it. and because we're in and out every day, but also it's that relationship with the client. So we'll know about the, you know, if the dog's still sick, or how did so-and-so get on at uni trials, or, you know, it's just, we know those things about those people because we talk to them all the time. You know, it's just, it's a relationship part of it, but you need to know your numbers, and without knowing them, and your bookkeeper knows them for you.
Okay.
I think also we also translate them into real stuff, you know, instead of this whole debtors, creditors and stuff like that. My very first job, I was able to sit and explain that these people owe you, so we pick up the phone and get the money in, you know, you owe these people, who do you need to pay first? You know, literally break it down into things that mean more to them. If you don't pay these people, you can't do the job tomorrow. So
you answered the question I was going to ask you already. I was going to ask you, when people say, honestly, I was going to say, when people say know your numbers, what numbers do you mean? But you just explained debtors, creditors, and who you need to pay first. Because no, that's generally really helpful. Thank you.
I was just going to say, I had a previous job as a packaging buyer, and it was at the time it was very frustrating when our accountant used to put the suppliers on stop, because you know, he may well have waited until he got the red letters because he didn't want to pay early. He was trying to keep his money in the bank. But we're at the sharp end with the factory, and if I don't get them paid today, I'm not getting my delivery tomorrow, and your factory will stop, and then you'll shout at me because the factory's stopped. You know, it's very much keeping the money flowing, but not wasting it. You don't want to be paying, you know, Fred, who doesn't need paying for 10 days, if you can't pay John, who needs paying today. You know, it's priorities.
Cool. I was going to say, I've monopolised all the questions so far and spoken over Tony several times. Tony, please, good sir.
So the first question that I have is, I don't know if it was my feed or if it was your feed, Kirsty, but as you said your name, which I was quite looking forward to, you jumbled out and I couldn't hear it. Do you pronounce your surname St John or St John? Okay,
so we pronounce it St John. This is an old family story. It's my ex-husband's surname, so I'm not overly precious about it.
Okay,
but historically, though, it's a St John family name, and they can trace it back to who burnt the cakes. Is that Alfred the something or other? Alfred the Great? Was it him that burnt the cakes? I was with you
right up until the point where you said burnt the cakes, and then I lost it completely. So I have no idea what you're talking about. But I'm quite happy to concur with whatever it was.
I've got a family tree up on the wall that my ex-mother-in-law loved doing research on. So. but we're still friends. He's still a client. Would you believe?
Sorry, your ex-husband is your client? Did you say?
Yeah.
That's a
he was my first client,
I guess.
And he's exactly. He's still my client, and our son is now 18 and just started university. So yeah, you got to stay friends. It might be hard, but you've got to stay friends with those ex for the sake of the kids. It's not fair on the kids otherwise.
And for the sake of the books, right?
Well, yeah, that does help. It's a good client, pays well.
Yeah, do you enjoy putting his prices up?
Well, it's a bit risky.
Kirsty, if you were a biscuit, what kind of biscuit would you be that accurately portrays your personality and why? But don't just pick your favourite biscuit.
Oh no, my favourite biscuit is jam sandwich cream. You know, like the Jammy Dodger, but with the cream bit in it as well. Mm-hmm. But why would I be that biscuit? Probably because it's more than what you asked me for. Because then I get two. I don't just get a Jammy Dodger or a custard cream. It's kind of a mashup.
Okay, so personality-wise, you give more than you ask for? Like what?
Well, I don't know.
People get more than they expect with you? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, maybe that's it. Maybe the audience should judge that one. I don't know.
Okay, so you invite them. Audience, all two of you who might be watching or listening.
Two of you.
Please comment on what biscuit and what Kirsty meant by her biscuit choice. Let's psychoanalyze this. Let's go crazy.
Speaking of audiences, I am slightly worried that we haven't seen Sam or Marcus yet in the comments, and that is, you know, if you guys could just check in, let us know you're safe.
Live.
Yeah.
I'm not going to echo what Tony says. I don't care if you guys are safe or not. I hope you're all right, but I don't really care.
That's so horrible. They're your friends, or are they only really showbiz friends?
Parasocial relationships.
Yeah, pretty much. I wouldn't take a bullet for either of them. My first question would be, why is someone shooting at you? Yeah. Do you deserve to get shot? No.
I got the bullet while we dissect this.
Dissect away. Go for it.
Pause time. wait so that Dale asks all his questions about whether he can decide to step in front of that bullet or not, while the bullet just hangs steady in the air.
Let's flip it, Tony. Let's say I'm running and I'm around your area for some reason, and you can hear the gunshots. I'm like, Tony, man, help me, help me. Wouldn't you be like, what did Dale do to deserve to get shot at? No, wouldn't you question that?
Would you rescue him first?
No.
I'd
Who
just
does
be
your
like,
money
I'd be
to,
like, sorry, what?
Also, in our situation, why on earth would I be in the Midlands? Like, I'm never there. Like,
Hey, what's wrong with the Midlands? I'm not
nothing wrong with the Midlands. But I live in Kent, so if I was in this situation where I'm being chased by a gunman and suddenly I'm at Tony's doorstep, the first question would be like, Dale, what the hell are you doing here? No?
I'm in Hertfordshire. I don't live in the Midlands. So
Sorry, my
I'm
apologies.
from the Midlands originally.
My apologies, good sir.
I'm in the middle of the Midlands, Northampton originally, but
Well, I'm from nowhere originally. I'm an RAF kid, so until I was 12, I didn't really properly live in the UK. So I lived in Malta and Germany and Cyprus. Living in Cyprus as a 10-year-old girl, I was at the horses all the time, and they used to moan when they made me go to the beach at the weekend.
Did you ever? Were you ever stationed at RAF Akatori?
Yeah, Akatori. That's where we were. Yeah, 3 years. Brilliant place.
My sister lived there for a while. I went to visit her while she was on base.
Oh, loved it. Me and my sister went back we didn't quite make it 40 years. We went back 39 years later. And we got allowed back on camp. And it was like, oh, there's our old house. It's now something else. And this really steep hill that I used to ride up to go to the saddle club. I was young and fit and it was a bike. But even driving it up in a car, I'm like, see, it's as steep as I remembered from a kid. Yeah, it's a fantastic place. Lifelong lover of halloumi way before it was trendy.
Yep.
Halloumi cheese.
It's the king of cheeses. It can't die. Like, you can throw it on a barbecue and it cooks and you can still eat it. You could never do that with any other cheese.
Maybe
I love halloumi cheese. It's brilliant.
Yeah. Smoked cheese on the barbecue as well. Oh, so good. So good.
It is.
Yeah.
You'll be careful not to oversmoke it. Though.
Yeah.
I love how most of our conversations are about food.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Always. But just imagine that disappointment when your cheese, your halloumi melts, which it's meant to do, but it goes, through the cracks and you've lost it to the flames forever. That's just like the saddest day, isn't it?
And then you're like, who's going to be missing out on that piece of food?
Because I'm not.
I had 3 people and 9 bits, so not sure. Yeah. I know it's not going to be me. I definitely know it's not going to be me, but someone else is going to miss out on it.
I know what I'm having for tea tonight now. I've got some halloumi in the fridge. There you go. I'm sorted.
Good. Kirsty, if you could eat one meat for the rest of your life, forsaking all others, what meat or animal are you choosing?
Well, I'm going to go for chicken on the basis that I can do a variety of things with it. I love steak, but I'm really bad at cooking steak myself, and it's got to be good. My ex was really good at cooking steak, and my son was getting really good at cooking steak, but obviously he's not here anymore, so I have to rely on eating steak when we're out places. So chicken I can do.
I feel like we might be able to help with this situation. So what is the outcome? What is the undesirable outcome when you cook steak where you're like, that's not how I want it to be?
Too hot, cook too much, and blood in my salad. I want it in the middle. So, I'm going medium, but I don't like it when there's blood still seeping out of it into you. And, I know this thing about resting food is supposed to really help, but I want it hot. So I never really understand the whole, I'd rather have it sizzling hot. I don't know.
I was desperate to weigh in.
No. Tony, you started it. You finish it, man. This is all yours, man. Go for it.
Okay. So I think that, I get that. Like, firstly, the red stuff's not actually blood. It is something else. It's like tissue fluid, essentially. With I think I'm right in saying myoglobin in it. Yeah, so it's not blood, but it is red and it looks like blood. So for all intents and purposes, it's blood. The resting, you can rest it so that it's covered with something and it will still have the same effect, and it redistributes the moisture through the steak so that you shouldn't get quite so much runoff, whereas if you carve into it straight away, the moisture sort of pushed to the edges and it tends to bleed out more than it does. But so just like tin foil it or something, if you're concerned about it, maybe warm the plate beforehand.
You can also have your oven set to 50 and whack it in there for 5 minutes so it will rest, stay warm.
Okay, this is all very technical. Okay.
No, I don't think so. And do you buy meat from like from the supermarket, so it's the same thickness. That's fine. There's no judgment. There's good meats from the supermarket, so that's mainly where I buy mine from.
Majority of the meat from the supermarket, but for special treats like at Christmas, when we've had, at Christmas a really good chef, then at butchers, we've got really good butchers in town, and then he could almost name the cow it came from, type thing.
It's quite difficult when you're cooking from the supermarket because the steaks tend to be quite a lot thinner, particularly if you get like the one you should get, which is a ribeye, because it's the best one. Unarguably, they tend to be a bit thinner, and therefore it's more difficult to get the crust that you need on a steak and still maintain the pinkness of the inside. So but using a timer does help, I find. I know it sounds like a really noddy.
Have you been to is it Miller and Carter steakhouse chain? Have you been to one of them recently? There was just, it was just amazing. They had like I think it was a 30-day or a 50-day aged steak, and I'm like, oh, luckily Dad was paying, so it was like, it was well worth it. But it's nice when someone else is paying. But they really properly knew how to do it, and my sister wanted something well done, and they're like, well, you might as well have this one then, because you won't benefit from that aging process if you're just gonna kill it, sort of thing.
I don't like that. I think that like, if someone wants it well done, then they should be allowed to have it well done. I think that's just your choice, right? I'm not a massive fan of like rare steak. I'd prefer it to be sort of like medium, slightly like on the well done side of medium rather than the rare side of medium. Depending on the steak, because I'm much more about the crust. That's what I want. That's the bit I like, the steaky, crusty flavour.
It's got the crispy bit, with the stripes on it from a good griddle.
I'm not too bothered about the stripes. I want
stripes.
Nah, you want it on a flat surface so you get maximum crust.
Okay.
That's my favourite bit. Is like the.
I think this should be renamed as a cooking show, because I'm on it now.
I was to say, like, we need to bring this back to work in the business, because again, everyone's now watching the budget and not listening to us. But we need to ask.
No, it doesn't start. It doesn't start till 12:30. So.
But I assume we've got like a football game. We've got like pre-match entertainment.
Yeah, let's talk ICB winners. What's that?
Okay,
for?
Let's start with a super question. What's the ICB for people who don't know?
ICB is the largest bookkeeping institute of certified bookkeepers, and they represent like all the bookkeepers globally. Gary and June set it up nearly 30 years ago. And there's about 3,500 practices, and we're all licensed by the ICB, but there's about, don't hold me to the number, but maybe 15,000 members in the UK. That's totally wrong. But and they represent us, and there's a community feel to it. And last year I won the Small Practice Award, which I'm so over the top about. I'd lost it 3-4 times beforehand.
Congratulations.
So, yes, really super, super special. I've been going 16 years, so long time.
And you have a role within the ICB, correct?
I do. So yeah, I run the Cambridgeshire branch, so I'm chair of the Cambridgeshire branch, but also there's an ICB advisory council, which is basically that kind of middle ground between, looking after members' interests to ICB and equally dealing with ICB stuff back to members. And I'm chair of the advisory council, and I've been doing that for about 4 years now as well. So
okay. And that's a national role rather than a Cambridge role, is that right?
Yes, that's right. That's a national role. And as part of that role, we kind of have regular meetings to like propose new people to come in, if they're thinking about becoming a bookkeeper, so I can talk to them about it. But also when they've just newly got their license, we can deal with them and kind of get them, encourage and kind of new practice getting started. In fact, some of the people that were on that new practice, some of their very first few webinars, he just won an award this week for new practice. He's an escape room artist called Sam. And, and it's like such a kind of a random thing that remember having that as discussions with him in very early days. And he's just won new practice. So it's like, it's just so really nice to see people follow that.
Does the bookkeeping for escape rooms specifically?
Yes. He used to run an escape rooms. So he knows all about it. So he's got quite a little niche of, he does bookkeeping for other people as well, but particularly knows what the escape room people are up against.
Poacher turned gamekeeper. I like it. I like it. So what's on your agenda, if it's not sensitive, what's on your agenda in terms of like improvement of the experience of the ICB at the moment in your role as the chair of the go-between between the members and the and the institute.
Yeah, sorry, my internet cut out a little bit then. What are you saying about the role of me?
Yeah, what's on your agenda at the moment in terms of improving the experience of ICB members and the institute from your role as chair of the advisory commission?
Making sure that members sort of feel supported in those early days is quite important, and you know, welcoming them, whether they're going to be employed as bookkeepers within another firm or within, you know, industry, or whether they're actually thinking of starting up their own practice, and helping them down that line, making sure they've got their license and, you know, everything else, insurance and everything else in place, so they know what their responsibilities are. But then also making sure that they feel supported all the way along, that if they've got queries, you know, in the beginning, you don't necessarily know anyone. And, you know, you might come across kind of, you know, random things like you both know Tim, but now, if I have a hospitality query, I'd be like, oh, I'm not doing that. And I've passed them straight to Tim, you know, to the TCS team in Guernsey, because they love hospitality and they get on with it. You know, equally, if there's, you know, if I ever came across like cars or garages or something, I've dealt with them in the past, and, you know, I wouldn't want to do another garage necessarily, but you could find someone within our industry that has got that specialism, and you know, so you're never alone. You know, you might think you're just employing like me as your bookkeeper, but actually I've got an army behind me to ask specialist questions to, and I think that's kind of the power of, you know, and I've always found the bookkeepers to be really, really friendly. That whole, you know, we talk about that collaboration over competition type thing, but it's really, really true. You know, I see it in action all the time, and within the little Cambridgeshire branch, we've compressed work between each other, and I just passed my tax exam, so I can do company year ends, and so I've got other bookkeepers now. Got some coming to me saying, "Oh, can you do the year end for me?" And I'm like, "Well, yes, I can now." But that's again kind of keeping it in the family, because I'm not necessarily interested in taking their client off them, but I can help them keep that client. So it makes us all extra sticky to keep our clients.
Sorry to interrupt. Just to let you know, Kirsty, we're having a few technical issues. I think sometimes you're breaking up, so we might ask you the same question again.
That's fine.
We'll keep rolling. We'll keep rolling. It's all good.
We'll blame the Cambridgeshire Fens Wi-Fi.
Yeah. First of all, thank you for sharing that. Like, you're obviously very passionate about what you do and the group of people around you, which is really great. What advice would you give to a younger person? So I'm saying like a school leaver or maybe a uni leaver, in getting into bookkeeping. Like, why should they do it? Why is it enjoyable? Is it a good career? Like, what? Well,
it's a, you know, it can be a career for life, because we're all going to need, what's that phrase, death and taxes. That's, you know, they're for us all, aren't they?
Yep.
But I mean, my son showed no interest in you know, coming to join me at all. He's gone into do mechanical engineering, so he's got maths, physics, and, you know, he's doing that kind of thing. But I think if you can get them at an early age, and, you know, going into schools to do kind of careers fairs and to do a little bit more of them at that stage, make it an option, because quite often accountants are sort of seen as stuffy and sat in a corner and that kind of thing, but it's not. We're really at the heart of the business. I just happen to be at the heart of like 30 or 40 businesses. Just, you know, a little tiny bit of lots of people's business is the way I like to think of it. A key part just happens to be of more than one. So I think if you can try and explain the why we do things to them, you know, so it's about that knowing in numbers, and if you can kind of understand why you're having to do this, and encourage them to like put their money away for their taxes, so it's not a shock at the end of the day. You know, it's not your money. You can't spend your VAT money on this because it's not your money. It belongs, I mean, you can, but you just collected it. Well,
no one will stop you.
Director's loan account, go crazy. That money, just make it rain.
Yeah, fine.
Make it
rain. But you know, when the taxman comes calling for his money at the 7th of the month and you haven't got it because you spent it, well, you know, then that's your own tough luck. You've still got to find the money from somewhere else to pay the taxman. So I think that's the worrying thing. I find it really frustrating when you hear of these football clubs going down for, like, you know, multi-millions of pounds owed on their PAYE accounts and that sort of thing. It's like, I know people have been chased for a few £100s, and how do they get away with it? But, you know, it just doesn't compute, really. It doesn't seem very fair, the whole system, from that point of view. Oh, look, we got back to politics again. What we like. Get off politics.
I've got a couple of questions, which I would like to delve into. So I think this one will probably be interesting to Dale as well. So when, like, in the bookkeeping community, and also when you're kind of starting a bookkeeping practice, how do bookkeepers go about leveraging your community for best knowledge on technology and what technology you should choose, which platforms are the right platforms, where should you avoid duplication, like all that kind of stuff? Like, how does that play out in real life? Because it's such a big part of what we're all here for, right? The technology piece, in Dale specifically, very much so. So I'm just really interested in under the bonnet how that operates within the bookkeeping community.
I think if we can try and get those new members or people starting out, if you can get them like in their early days and try and encourage them to, you know, join the Facebook group, or not just an ICB one, which isn't as active as some of the others, but, you know, Natasha Everard's group, Accountants and Bookkeepers, or the 6FB people, you know, to get in, just start looking at posts, learning, you know, and that kind of thing. It's a choice of software. I would recommend people going, if they hear of one, or, you know, we could talk about some various starter ones, but to go and do the certifications, because your brain might work in a different way. So, you know, certain people might get on better with that bit of software because it works in a slightly different way to that one. They all come out with the same answer at the end of the day, but if your brain is naturally leaning that way, or it might be more a visual thing, or a, you know, so try them basically and see how you like them. And equally, when you get going with some clients, you don't have to say in the beginning you want to say yes to everyone, but because you want the money. But you soon learn that's not a very good place to be. And actually, it's nice to be able to say no. It is a bit risky, but to actually kind of learn, I get on well with these types of clients. So not necessarily niching in an industry as such, because, you know, that can go wrong if something like COVID happens and the hospitality just disappears. There's a risk to that. But if you, for example, like small limited companies, or you like, you know, sole traders, or whatever it might be, but kind of get a bit of a vibe for the sort of people that you like working with. And obviously you're going to tap into your own network for your own family and friends and make sure everyone knows what you do. In fact, you know, I had a guy come rescue me earlier in the year. I had a bit of a disaster with a washing machine and a pipe thing. Phoned a plumber person who was busy, recommended another friend. He came into work, and in fact, that was 6 months ago. I made him a cup of tea in a QuickBooks mug, like you do, and you know, 6 months later, he messaged me, and on my private email, because that's where I'd sent the invoice, I'd replied to his email saying, you know, that you could put a link on this, so it would make it easier for me to pay. You know, I could do. It's just kind of such a good in, right? Exactly. Yeah, but 6 months later, he's come back going, oh, you know, I'm starting a new business, and, you know, are you interested? Are you available? And I'm like, yes, I can help, you know. But just the guy, there's a guy here doing my patio at the moment. So it's like, you know, hassling him, make sure he's done it. You just drop it into conversation anytime you can. And you start to kind of pick things up. But for new people getting started, just kind of watch, listen, talk, ask questions.
Cool.
And yeah, sorry, I'm talking too much.
No, absolutely not. It's just really interesting. My second question is, and I was thinking about this week, right? So I've noticed that there is a rise in folks pitching themselves as kind of like fractional finance directors, virtual finance directors, like that kind of role, right? Mm-hmm. And it got me to thinking around, like, because I know that within the bookkeeping community, a challenge that often rears itself is pricing according to value and believing in the worth of the product that you're putting out there, right? Yeah. And I know that's a challenge. It's a challenge for the accounting and bookkeeping community at large, and probably people generally, right? And it's not a challenge that's unique to the bookkeeping industry.
I don't think we're natural salespeople, so yes, I think it's
no. I'd agree with that, and I think that is it's it's a tough thing, sales, unless you're James Sundin, and you're just sort of like born in a sales role. But my question to you is like, I was thinking about it, and I've neither done the role of bookkeeper nor virtual finance director, but like, what's the difference between a bookkeeper and a virtual finance director or a fractional finance director? Is it the size of the businesses that they work with? Is there quite a lot of crossover? And actually, I don't know. I was just really interested, because I know
I think it's if they stray more into the advisory type thing, as we're not licensed to give advice as such, but you can certainly give advice like, don't spend the VAT money, it's not yours, so but advisory in as much of a cash flow, like I was saying earlier, with the whole this needs paying before that one, or did you know that you've got this, you right now you've not got enough money in the bank to pay payroll this month or next week, or shall we chase, so as a bookkeeper kind of deals with what's there in front of them, but as you kind of step into the whole like bigger picture type thing of did you know that your suppliers put their prices up 5 times in the last 2 months, and you've approved it because you've paid the invoices, but you haven't put your sales prices up? So just because they are possibly so busy just dealing with the day-to-day bit, they don't kind of tie the two things together. As an ex-buyer, I'm very aware of costs and profit and margins and stuff, but trying to follow that through to a client. So sort of if you're going more into that advisory type section of the the kind of the bigger picture type thing.
And when you say you're not licensed to give advice, do you mean as in you're not licensed to give specific tax advice?
Yes.
Or just okay, cool, all right, okay.
But the very thought of giving advice makes me nervous. Just exactly that, with the whole not licensed to do tax advice, but I can prepare your tax return based on the information given to me. But when people then start saying, can I do it? Shall I do it this way? Shall I do it this way? And it's like, well, I can give you both options, but really the choice has to be yours. I can. Yeah. So it's kind of but making people aware of, things like if you see a limited company and they're not doing trivial benefits, it's like, well, you could do those. That's not advice as such. That's just, did you know about this? You need to be aware of information.
Interesting, because I like I've said this before many times on here and in other places, that like, having worked closely with the bookkeeping community in implementing software in my past and in various other sort of forms, that the bookkeeping community always seems to be really know the software well that they use, because they use it every day.
All day, every day, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, and I'm not saying that accountants don't, but like they're just, having worked with the bookkeeping community, it always kind of stood out to me. And also, exactly like you said, like really knowing the live numbers right now and what that means like for a business, which is a really cool thing. Right.
I can attest to this to some degree. I often get new vendors coming to me saying, hey Dale, we've got this really cool new product or software, it's going to be really amazing. Does Creston Reeves want to use it? And I'm like, you might do, but I also say, speak to the bookkeepers first, because first of all, most of the time they're using it day in, day out. Second of all, they're way more influential and have generally like not say a better client connection, a different client connection. Yeah. And when it comes to the software trends, what I've noticed in the last 4 years maybe, is actually bookkeepers have driven a lot of change in terms of like what software is hot and what is not.
Well,
not
always. Being on a beta tester.
But yeah, like the bookkeepers often are doing more of the testing, more of the influence on what clients are using, and then accountants sometimes come in later. Now, don't get me wrong, accountants can influence, but I've just noticed that, and a lot of people go, do you want to buy from us? I'm like, talk to the bookkeepers first, right? Have a go. Right, yeah.
It's great, and it is nice to be on that beta testing role and to kind of not necessarily try and break it, but I love it when they actually ask questions of, so where would you expect to click next, or kind of what would you expect to happen next, and why is and you can kind of go, well, I want this to happen, why is it 3 clicks to get there, why can it not just be 1 click, so basically improving it. I'd love there to be like a Kirsty button one day, and I can go, that's because I said, there is a bit in Apron that I think I might have helped with, but
what's the bit in Apron that you helped with? What do I just know? What's the
other people might hate it? So I'm not
did you get Apron to put a unicorn in there like Zero did years ago?
No, it's just a little bit of information that when you type it in one place, it kind of appears in two places within QuickBooks, and it's really useful when you do your VAT report. But yeah, I'm on QuickBooks Accountant Council as well, so they call it Accountant Council, but they let a bookkeeper on, a belligerent bookkeeper, if you want to call it that. But I'm in that software all day, every day, going, why is it this? Why can you?
If you ever consider renaming your practice, Kirsty, please call it a belligerent bookkeeper.
It'd be incredible.
How would that get me clients? Yeah.
You'll find your people. Like you'll find them. If you're the belligerent bookkeeper, they'll find you. I promise you.
Well, I have had clients tell me before when he's come to do something, and he's really proud because his bank feed's all clear, and he's like, yeah, and I'm like, yeah, but you've cleared it by using that money to pay the wrong person, and he's like, well, they don't owe me.
He puts it all to sales and all to general expenses. Yeah.
So yeah, no. So when I first started my company, I'd never really thought about selling or anything on. So it's just my initials, KCS, and my initials, and so it just fitted naturally. So
there we go. Kirsty, do you drink tea or coffee?
Tea.
Tea. Okay. This has actually segued quite nicely because we've had a couple of predominant tea drinkers on in the last couple of weeks. So we have two questions: the coffee question and the tea question, right? So we're going to go with the tea question because you're a tea drinker. So if you are making a cup of tea, what is the correct order for bag in, bag out, water, milk, and sugar is optional,
okay?
Right?
So
no shade.
Bag in cup, hot water onto bag, leave for the allotted amount of time. Add milk while bag's still there. Squeeze gently, not too hard to squeeze, but then you can adjust. Then you got the colour right. Take your bag out. Add sugar or sweeteners as required. I do like it in a pot, but it just takes too long.
That's gone curveball, isn't it?
Loose, takes way too long.
Loose tea, yeah.
Oh, I was brought up on loose tea. When I first met my brother-in-law many years, when he first introduction to meet the family, and my mum and dad had loose tea at the time. And he got to the bottom of the cup and just sort of spat it out because he was full of leaves. But no, tea and actually just kind of your bog standard little Tesco's PG Tips type food. The black tea, standard black tea is where I go. Lara took me on a lovely trip to in a place called Mount Nelson's in South Africa. We had a little trip there, and they had a tea sommelier, and they're ordering all these fancy fruit teas and that kind of thing. And I'm like, can I just have like bog standard tea?
To South Africa, we presented.
We went to see all sorts of other
and you're like, you got any PG tips?
I was not appreciative of the full extent of the menu.
That's so funny.
I absolutely love that. My routine's different, but actually we're getting more of what you've just described than how I do it. So maybe I'm wrong. It seems unlikely, but maybe I am wrong.
And then while the bag was still in there?
So I would, if I was to have milk, then I would take the bag out and then put the milk in. And then in a
how do you know you made it the right strength?
Because I know how to make it the right strength. I give it the right amount of
how many squeezes,
judge how the water looks, and then I put the milk in, and then I just have to hope.
And no more.
But the trouble is like, so with that method, right, when you're adjusting it after you put the milk in, if you put if you do that, then put the milk in, but you've put too much milk in, and then you adjust it back to the right colour, you've still got too much milk in the tea.
Yes,
I actually like the texture of it. Needs to be this much milk. It's not the tea that needs adjusting. It's the volume of milk for me.
I get that. We had a bit of a disaster last week at the ICB summit. The tea was probably a posher brand and needed stewing longer. But equally, the milk was in like very wide, open mouth jugs and came out really fast. So I had 2 disasters at making tea and gave up and had some really nice orange juice instead.
Don't get me started on the case.
I have a solution to your dilemma.
Drink tea.
Don't drink tea.
But coffee is always way too strong for me. I love the smell of coffee, but it's way too strong all the time.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I feel like I've now monopolised the questions for quite some time, Dale. So
it's okay, man. Take your time.
You're going to ask me my favourite software. We're not allowed to ask that.
I mean, you just set me up for it nicely. So, Kirsty, What is your favourite software? Let me specify.
Let me see if I can say that one there.
What is your favourite bookkeeping software?
Oh, yes, okay. My favourite bookkeeping software is QuickBooks. But I am
Why
new
is
to
this?
creating.
Yeah.
Why is this?
I'll mute myself for this conversation.
Yeah, I know.
You're
You're gonna get Tony fired. Like,
I'm sorry. That's just the way my brain's wired. I did my original training on Sage, got introduced to QuickBooks Desktop, then the QuickBooks Cloud. I've been using Xero since 2013. You know, tried it, this newfangled thing got them both in the cloud, but I just prefer QuickBooks. So, but that's fine. Makes me a little niche because loads of other people use Xero, and I'm like, send me your QuickBooks, people. Happy.
my observation is that, again, when it comes to cloud software for SMEs, it is basically whatever you got trained on first. And I draw parallels to music production. So there's desktop audio workstations, or DAWs for short, right? I use Cubase. I'm a Cubase guy because I learned on Cubase. There's tons of other ones that are equally as good, and I can do a similar job on them. I'm just slower because I know how to use them. And I think that's what it is with bookkeeping software. It's like it's the one you use, the one you got trained on initially, that your first cloud one is the one that you know the paths to do certain things.
Exactly.
Bank reconciliation, pretty much the same in both, but it's like there's a few steps are different. It's just
my
like
query with my new ones on Free Agent. I've got a couple on, and it's like I know what I want to do. I'm just not quite sure the path to get there, the least resistant path to get there. And yeah, it comes. It's practice. So,
what I would like to see, so no shade, right? Ooh, we ever want
which basically means there's going to be some shade in a second.
No,
sure.
There's no shade. All I want to see, right, as somebody who cares about this stuff, is that the right client goes on the right bit of software, and that won't always be Free Agent. That won't always be QuickBooks. That won't always be Xero. But yeah, so you just want to see the right client on the right bit of software. What I can't bear is that not being considered properly, and it just being, I just blindly put it on what I put the last piece of software on because that's what I did yesterday. Like, you need to have proper consideration about it, because otherwise, and there's some argument to say that's different depending on the person who's using the software, because you're a QuickBooks expert, right? So you would get much more out of QuickBooks than somebody who was a Free Agent expert who'd never used QuickBooks before, because you know how to use it, right? So there is some flex around the right client being on the right platform, and there's some crossover dependent upon the user. What I'd really like to see, which Aaron Patrick did once, but as a didn't ask for this and doesn't want this feedback peer review of his approach, was that he did like a thing where he was like QuickBooks and then Xero and then maybe it was Free Agent as well, and he ran the same thing for each one, and then worked out
it's like receipt capture type thing, wasn't it? Which
one came out fastest. I'd like to see that done, but I'd like to see it done with 3 experts in each software, rather than just being done by the same person, sort of like a vendor bookkeeping software Olympics, which I'm sure upsets no one.
That.
You do know I did that with OCR, right?
I suggested that to ICB. We pitched it once for the summit thing, and we thought it would be a great thing to do. Is basically take a set of data, like not on software, and then 3, 4, 5, whichever ones you want to do, and we would all, in our own little different routes to it, come out to the same result, and either time it or just see which is easiest, that sort of thing. I'd be up for it, definitely. I think it's a great idea. But
it always then ends up with like, but what if the data is more suitable to Free Agent because it's the contractor, or like, CIS because QuickBooks does that really well, or that kind of thing. It's never a perfect science, but
I agree. It should be suited to the client, and there's certain types of it. And how much is the client going to do? Because a lot of my preferred ones, going back to being the belligerent bookkeeper, I think that should be a new hashtag. I like that.
I'm really surprised Dale hasn't changed your moniker at the bottom of the screen.
Now you said it, it's happening. Well, because I tell you, if I did it and you didn't tell me I should do it, that could technically be, I want to say, libel or slander, couldn't it? Like, because he doesn't actually want it.
The clients I prefer are the ones where I do it all, because it just kind of works that way. So basically, most clients will do their own sales and then leave me to do everything else, and it just works neatly that way. Whereas actually,
that's what you want.
If you got
I think what you do, you should let the finance person just do what they're supposed to do. Let them handle it. Give you a report every week or the month, and then go from there. Don't get messed in things you don't understand.
That's fine if they're willing to pay for it, but if they're trying to cut costs and trying to do as much of it as they can and just let you do the bits you need to do, well then, but I'm still going to check those bits, because if my name's going on a report that you've done, I'm checking it. So that's it comes down to cost, a lot of it, doesn't it? So
I'm glad you mentioned Aaron Patrick, by the way, because he's on next week.
oh, is he? Cool.
He's on next week. Yeah.
That's really cool, because I've actually never spoken to Aaron before.
Have you not?
No,
Oh,
somehow.
how is that possible?
Ships that, like, sailing.
He told me why, by the way, so this doesn't like you. He told me.
I've hoped
exactly.
that is wild.
He should have been on when Tony was on his sojourn elsewhere.
Exactly. That'd be why I've never been asked to be on Ask the Accountant, right?
Yeah.
I've been a cool friend.
You're not an accountant anymore. That's why.
No, still
I'm not an accountant.
Or are you still maintaining your CPD, Tony, in the background? Are you?
I'm a member of the institute.
Okay. I apologise.
Quickly reversing there, Dale.
I will look forward to chatting with Aaron. That's going to be really cool.
Basically, I completely lied, by the way. Aaron never said any of that. Just to be clear.
I figured that was the case.
Well, no, but just in case, someone records this, AIs it up, creates a feud, creates internet beef. Would I do that?
Yeah, but as we approach the top of the hour, quick fire questions.
Quick fire it up. I'll mute myself as usual.
Cool. Are you ready, Kirsty? So I'm going to ask you 10 out of my bank of 16 questions.
Okay.
What is one skill you wish you had, but you don't?
My internet cut out again. Do that again.
Internet that works. I said, what is one skill that you wish you had that you don't?
There you go. Some internet that works. That would be useful. Yeah. Being able to be brave and do networking events, like speak to people in multitudes. The thought of being on stage terrifies me. This is fine because I don't know they're there.
Okay. Have you been on stage? Or come back to it.
Yeah.
Favorite country that you've ever visited?
Ooh, I loved living in Cyprus as a child, but I did enjoy South Africa, actually. It was so beautiful. It was just a short little trip, but it was nice. Same
time zone as well, right? Or very similar. Cool. What's your favourite food?
Food. Italian. It's a bit broad, but is that okay?
I mean, you can interpret the question however you choose to interpret the question. What is your spirit animal?
Horse.
A horse. Nice. The book that you have recommended the most often?
Ooh. I don't know. I've lost my love of reading lately, actually. Out of the habit of books. I have to skip that one. Can't think of one off the top of my head.
Okay.
Richard Osman. We'll go for them. I've just read number 5. They're good.
Okay. Number one country that you've never visited, so like where you want to go most in the world?
Never been to America. I'd love to go to bits of America. Boston and too much Dawson's Creek. Growing up, I really want to go to. Aging myself there.
See if Pacey and Dawson are still kicking around.
Oh, yes, I love Joshua Jackson. Oh my God, yes, please.
Most hated grammatical error or mispronounced word.
When people start talking about Pacific, Pacific is a body of water. It's not the word specific. I'm a bit of a grammar fiend. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Dale's favourite. It is one of my favourite things when it's all kicking off in the group chat.
750 days of doing a little daily quiz thing. And it asks you 3 sorts of questions, like a bit of maths or a bit of spelling, a bit of this, that, and the other. But I'm really bad on commas and semicolons and things. But my vocab and my punctuation, it's in my vocab. I can't even speak. But anyway.
Yeah, my wife is a teacher, so she says things like fronted adverbial and things like that.
Oh yes, that quickly they were quickly running to do.
Wonder what that is. Glad that the 9-year-olds that you teach know what fronted adverbial is, and I have no idea. I know when it's wrong, but couldn't tell you the rules. Right?
Exactly, but that's the point. You have a feeling for the whole. Why is it TikTok? It's not talk tick. There are feelings. There's kind of rules embedded in us somehow.
Indeed. What is an unpopular opinion that you hold?
That Cadbury's is brilliant chocolate.
Is that an unpopular opinion?
Is that unpopular?
Unmute.
I love Cadbury's. Send me.
I still think that the McDonald's double cheeseburger, pound for pound, is it's really very hard to beat. value for money wise, like when you.
I'm not a
consider
massive burger fan, and certainly not from a chain. I would normally go for a McDonald's chicken sandwich, the McChicken sandwich.
So wait,
I've had
a barbecue
burgers. Oh, now
would you have a
home?
Would you have a barbecue? Would you have a burger or a hot dog?
Always a burger.
If someone's cooked it in front of me, and I know it's going to be nice and crispy off a barbecue, I'll have a home barbecue. Yes, please. But a chain one from a anemic looking out of a machine that's been boiled or something, whatever they do to them. No thanks.
Got it. Final question. Who should we have on the show? Who would you like to see us have on the show?
Oh, have you had any ICB people? Have you had Elizabeth? You should definitely have Elizabeth. And my friend Susanna is getting herself out there a bit more now. Can you have Susanna Whelan? Come across her before? I've
Susanna from done a number of webinars with Susanna. Exactly. I'm not sure if Dale's had her on the show. I don't think I've interviewed her. I don't think we've had Elizabeth on the show. That'd be quite cool.
You've got a non-booking thing, haven't you? You've got
we might have to. Dale sort of pushes back against this because of like the talking over the top thing. But I'm quite keen on like having lots of people on at the same time and having kind of group discussions, which is fraught with some forms of danger and production issues. But maybe it's something we'll try. Maybe we'll get a little ICB takeover.
They're my favourite sessions. When we just had ICB Summit, when we do a virtual summit, and at the end of the day, there's often a panel with multiple people. And I agree, it can get a bit, people talking over and stuff. But the chat that goes alongside it is often really lively. So I think group discussions can be good fun.
That is the end of the quickfire round.
Oh,
Dale?
Did I pass?
Yes.
I mean, I failed. I interrupted. I'm not supposed to interrupt the quickfire round.
I think you do. Oh, you think you do really well, mate? Because I know how difficult it is.
I'm so opinionated on so many things. That's the issue. We're almost at the end of our hour. We'll do our usual thing. Kirsty, are there any questions that you'd like to ask myself or Tony?
Gosh, I can't think now. But Tony, have been busy around. You've been away. I'm glad you're back because I've missed a few episodes recently since.
I'm really sorry. You broke up. I didn't catch that first bit there. I didn't hear what you said. Sorry.
I was just checking where it's nice to have Tony back because he's been away, but I've missed a few recent episodes.
It's okay having him back. He's all right.
Average.
I like the banter between the two of you. It's what makes the show quite often.
So I quite a few people voted for Zoe to stay, and no one voted for me to come back. So
that was so funny, so harsh.
Haven't seen Sam yet.
Yeah.
No, just please keep up the good work. I love it. I love the banter every week. It's good fun.
It is fun.
It's fun.
Right. On that note, I'm going to hit end stream. Let's just keep it nice, clean. Kirsty, thank you for. People. Yeah. Thank you for coming on, by the way. Again, it's guests like you that make it, so we appreciate you being here, answering our stupid questions, and being cool. Thank you.